Hiya, I'm Hayley and I have had 2 caesarean sections. My second one was really positive, and that was thanks to my hypnobirthing class or courses that I've done with Tasha and Katie. And so I've just basically come on here to talk to you about how it was so positive and maybe some things that are really beneficial to know about if you're considering having a caesarean section. So after having a not very pleasant experience of my first caesarean section, I really wanted a home birth and a VBAC home birth, and had everything set up and planned for that to be the case. And very close to the end of my pregnancy, I had a growth scan and found out that the cord of the baby was really low down in my cervix. So there was no real options around turning the baby, because in order to turn the baby, it would have meant they'd probably break my waters. And by breaking my waters, I would have gone into labour and the cord would have come out, and that is really dangerous for the baby. So while I wanted a home birth, when I was told that, I knew that the home birth was out the window and I had to have a caesarean section. Now, thanks to the hypnobirthing course, I asked them, is that the only option? And that's when they obviously explained to me the risks of me going into natural labour and that I had no other option than to have a caesarean section. But I did ask them if I had to have the caesarean section that day because they wanted me to stay in. And the consultant was really good and was happy for me to go home, providing I had a cervix check to ensure that I wasn't already in early stages of labour. So I agreed to that, just so I knew I could go home, mainly because I've got 4-year-old twins and it was their birthday the following day and I really wanted to be there for that. So I came home and was able to enjoy the next day with the twins, and then came back in on the Wednesday morning, where they checked the baby again, just because the baby had been moving quite a lot. So I just wanted to ensure that the baby was still in that position, and that I really still had to have a caesarean section. Like I said, I didn't have a very positive experience the first time, so I still kept asking the questions of, do I really have to have one? But unfortunately, the cord was still really low in my cervix, and so the consultant said, yeah, right, this is it now. We can't risk you going into labour. You're going to have a caesarean section. And I was really, and by that point, I'd sort of come to terms with it. And I started thinking about the birth plan that I had prepared for, because while I didn't want a caesarean, it was plan C for me on my A, B, C, D list, thanks to my hypnobirthing course. So I did have a list of preferences for having a caesarean section. And one of those was to ask if I had to have it, when did I have to have the caesarean section? So they said I could have stayed in that Wednesday and had it, or stayed in and had it first thing on the Thursday. So we opted to have it on the Wednesday. And again, just going with my preferences, which my birth partner, who's my wife, was fully aware of and fully on board with. So really, I didn't have to do that much communication around what I wanted, because she was all over it. But she had communications with the manager from the labour ward, and they ensured that before we'd even had the surgery, we had a private room with an ensuite ready for us. She came to have a chat with me about the things that they could do to try and make my experience a lot better, and talked through the things that didn't go so well last time so that they could ensure that that didn't happen again, which was really good. So we went down to the ward where you wait to have your caesarean section, and the consultant came to chat to me, who was going to do the surgery, and talked about all the things that they normally do, and all the things that I could have an input in this time. So I got to walk down to theatre. I discussed that if I lost a certain amount of blood, I could have a blood transfusion. I discussed, normally they take the baby straight off you after you've had the baby, and they, if you'd like the injection, they give it the injection, weigh it and put some clothes on it. But I asked if I could have that delay so I could have the baby put straight onto me for skin to skin. I asked if I could see the baby come out of me and also record it. So I was able to do that, which was an absolutely amazing experience. And just to have our own music and things like that, like our own setting for the actual in actual theatre. So yeah, so all those things made a real big difference to the experience this time. I didn't have to have a blood transfusion because I was able to control the bleeding, and just being able to see my son Maddox come out of me was just a really overwhelmingly amazing experience. We didn't know we were having a boy, so if you don't know what you're having and you aren't going to see it come out, there's options of how you want to be told that. But because we were able to drop the curtain and see him come out of me, we obviously saw that it was a boy, which was incredible. And just those instant moments of having the skin to skin really helped with bonding straight away. And then when they moved me over to the bed to take me out of the ward, they then took my son off me and did the weighing and putting clothes and hat on, etc. And that gave my partner an opportunity to spend some time with our son, and then got him put back on me to move out of the theatre. And he was, because he'd been on me for quite a bit, having skin to skin, he was already trying to latch, which was amazing, because then that meant breastfeeding was quite an easy thing to do straight after the surgery. And yeah, all round a really good experience. Moving into recovery, you're on a recovery ward for quite a bit of time, normally like a minimum of 4 hours, where they do your checks and stuff and help you like with how you're going to feed. Like I said, he was already trying to latch, so it meant that feeding him was really easy straight away. And just that bit of time after surgery was a really nice experience, because I felt well. The surgery had gone really well, and I was already on the pain relief, so I didn't feel any pain. And from then on, just kept really on top of what meds I needed to have and when, so I never had to feel any pain. Just because, like anything, the hospital is a really busy place, and the nurses, while they try and keep on top of your pain meds, they have handovers and other things coming up. So sometimes that can be a bit delayed. And just from my first experience, I felt it was really important to try and keep on top of that. So I just set an alarm on my phone, and every time I knew I was allowed some, I would just ring the bell and they'd come straight in, and it just meant that I never had to feel any pain. And they were quite grateful for that, to be honest, because it meant that they didn't have to think about too much about what I needed and when. And then the pleasure of having my own room and ensuite was just such a great experience. Obviously breastfeeding anyway, so just being able to sit topless pretty much the whole time, having that skin to skin constantly, not having to worry about other people seeing me or other parents and dads walking in and out of the ward, was just really a really nice experience for me to sort of continue that bonding. And yeah, and also my wife was able to have her top off and have that skin to skin as well, which probably wouldn't have done on a ward, because it's not a very private place. So having that bit of privacy really helped with both of us having that bonding time with him. And yeah, overall a really, really positive experience for having a C-section. And actually I've gone from my first experience of a C-section, well, dreading having one, to being quite a pro advocate for C-sections now, thinking it's really not about the type of birth you have, it's about how empowered, and just when you know what your choices are and what you can have an input in, it really can have an effect on your birth and making any experience positive. So yeah, that's me.